Hello, beautiful children. Alwyn Grimm welcomes you to our secret group for yet another set of stories. Today, we are going to be looking at this cute little fella, Lithuania, a small country in Baltics. Cast a very long shadow, not just in history, but also in the realm of myths and religion. United for the first time as a kingdom in 13th century, by the very next century it had become the largest country in Europe. This behemoth would later morph into a great power when duchy would enter into a personal union with Kingdom of Poland and would birth Polish-Lithuanian commonwealth, crowned as the last pagan state on mainland Europe to be christianized. Don't forget the cute little samis. Lithuania was christianized ultimately in 1387 when the Grand Duke Jogaila accepted to be baptized as a Catholic in exchange for Polish crown and the hand of Queen Jadwiga in marriage. So this land has been Christian for more than 700 years. But what was it like before that? What were the myths and stories from before? Like every time, we start with how it all began. In the beginning, there was nothing but darkness and chaos. In the vast expanse of this chaos wandered the god. He was not alone though. By his side, he had his younger brother. Together, the two divine beings would journey across the void, but its monotony would bore the god to death. And thus, to bring change in this eternal darkness, the god would start churning the chaos to separate it into different elements. Water was the first to come into existence, followed by air, fire, sky, and finally, earth. But the water would engulf all of earth, and as a consequence it would sink to the bottom of the endless sea. God was not amused by this. He wanted a dry place among the endless sea, so he did what all the elder brothers do. He sent his younger brother to dive to the bottom of the sea to bring chunks of earth as seeds. But while doing so, the younger brother put some dirt into his mouth. The gods would plant the seeds, and from them the earth will begin to spread out. But so will the dirt in the mouth of younger brother. Unable to hold it in his mouth, he would end up vomiting it all, and in this way, the rough surfaces of earth will appear. The lakes, the pools of earth, pools of water, stones, and all. A creation myth is so fascinating. The way a culture rationalizes the creation of the world around them tells us so much about them. But what about people? How did they came into existence? There are multiple stories which explains that. One rare legend says that when the Devas was stirring their fireplace, feeling the heat, he tried to wipe the sweat off his face, but he accidentally smeared his face with some soot. He then decided to wash it off, but while doing that, some drop of water fell on the ground, and instantly two small creatures appeared from the water, the Adam and Eve of the Lithuanian culture. But this creation was purely accidental. In several stories, the god asks the human, "Who are you?" The myth tells us two very important things. First, humans are divine in nature because they came into existence from the vast themselves. Second, the creation was not intentional. God created us accidentally. Now, are we a good accident or not? Tell me in the comment section, guys. The way the world is going right now, I'm not very positive about that. So we talked about creation of the world, then we talked about creation of mankind and the role of Devas in that. But we must remember that the old Lithuanians were polytheistic, not monotheistic. They had a huge roster of gods and goddesses. How did they came into existence? One of the legends states that as the Devas created more and more things, more and more spirits and minor divinities also started gaining consciousness, personifying different objects, and thus formed the old Lithuanian pantheon, which included the Devas, of course, Sol, the sun goddess, Menulis, the moon god, as well as the planets, the sun's daughter, Osrine, the morning sun, Indraya, Jupiter, Celia, Saturn. Moreover, several folk tales and songs say that Gemme is the sun's eldest daughter. It should be noted that in contrast to a lot of other cultures, the Lithuanian would portray sun as a goddess and moon as a god. Sun goddess Sol is a very interesting figure. She was imagined as a beautiful goddess of the sky who lives in a palace somewhere away to the east. Every morning, she drives across the sky in a brilliant chariot of gold pulled by two white horses, which are called this. I'm sorry I can't pronounce shit. I'm really sorry. In the evening, the chariot goes down into Baltic Sea. Sol changes the chariot into a golden boat, which takes her across the sea. The boat is steered by the goddess Parkunelle, who bathes tired and dusty Sol and sees her off. Sun goddess was married to moon god Menulis, a young god who likes to dress in silver, in contrast to Sol, who likes to dress in gold. Menulis was the guardian of night and time, fertility and vitality, and they had many children together, Earth, Zemme being the eldest. Sometimes the two lovebirds would like some alone time. You know, what lovers do. Don't roast me. I'm sorry, master. So yeah, where was I? Oh yeah. Sometimes these two lovebirds would like to kiss each other, but they also don't want their children, Zemme, to see them kissing. Embarrassment, I can understand. So they hide behind a cloth when they go for a kiss. And this is why eclipses occur on Earth, because Earth can't see sun and moon because they're hiding behind a cloth. I have seen a lot of myths behind eclipses, and hands down, this is the cutest story I have ever heard. Isn't that cute? Sir, what is it familiar? Don't get too attached. Why is that so? Sir, have you ever wondered, even if sun and moon are married, they are never seen together? Oh yeah, you're right, familiar. Why is that? Well, it is because they have separated. What? Legends have it, the moon married the sun in the primeval spring. But one day, the sun rose early and the moon got separated and had to walk alone. On his way, he met the morning star, Osrine, said to be even more beautiful than her mother, the sun goddess herself, and fell in love with her. This not only broke Saul's heart, this also made thunder god Percunas angry, and he decided that moon god deserves a punishment. So he hits the god by striking him in his face with his big sword. And that's why the moon's face often appears to have a scar on it. Yikes, guys. I need some emotional support. My ship, it's shanked before it can even sail. I don't want to talk about myths anymore. Familiar. Yes, master. How do we end our videos? We end by talking about deaths and ending, my master. Deaths and ending. Benjamin Franklin once said, "In this world, nothing can be said to be certain except death and taxes." But for Lithuanians, death was not seen as the catastrophic end of life. It most probably was a natural exhaustion of life and its continuation in another form. In the old ways of life, Lithuanians used to burn their deceased. There is a very interesting story which tells us how they chose the way they performed the last rite of their deceased kin. One day, a man named Sorve hunted a massive boar. He rips out spleens from it and gives it to his children. He instructs them to roast it before eating, but his children ignored him and ate it anyways without roasting. Mad and not knowing what a proportional response to a situation like this can be, Sorve resolved to descend to hell itself. Why, you ask? He was mad, obviously. Have your kids never made you so mad that you decided to go to hell itself? You're not a good parent then. As a match, Sorve managed to pass through 8 gates, but not the 9th and the last one. He tried everything but failed over and over again. So he asked his sons for help. All but one refused to help him out. So the sad man Sorve, with the help of his one willing son, finally managed to pass through the 9th gate. Finally inside the hell, he and his son eat some amazing food for the dinner and then prepare a cozy place for him to sleep by burying him under the soil. Yeah. The next day when they both wake up, the son asked him, "Did you sleep well?" He complained, "Oh, I was eaten by worms and reptiles." Again the next day, the son prepared a meal and then put him on top of a tree trunk and let him sleep there. Up come the morning, he asked him the same question and he answered, "I was bitten by bees and mosquitoes. Alas, I had a awful night." So for the 3rd day, he prepared a great steak for a fire and threw him into the flames. Next morning, he asked him again, "Did you have a nice rest?" He responded, "I slept like a log." And this is why Lithuanians burned their dead. But the transition from death to being a denizen of the other world is not instant. There appears a certain gap of time which makes the dead linger in the world. It was believed that Devas allowed the human beings to live a certain score of years, and if the person for some reason dies before that time, let's say a premature death, he has to live on earth till the designated date of death. But even if the dead are allowed to leave this world, where do they go? The afterworld is situated on top of a mountain inhabited by sky god Percunas. The residence of the dead is said to be light and warm, with a beautiful garden with a lot of singing birds. Sometimes it is conceived that the dead has to climb the hill after death. And there it is, my friends. Some myths, some stories, and a lot of love. I want to reiterate the fact that when making this video, the intent was to bring myths and stories from cultures and countries who are not as well known in the zeitgeist. For example, everyone knows about the Norse myths or Japanese myth. These videos are a celebration of our diverse culture. So if I ever make any mistake, please be a bit kinder and do point it out. I also stream. You can find the link in the comment section. That's it for today. I was Alwyn, the Lore Keeper VTuber, and tell me, do you wanna listen to a story?